Chapter 10, Roommate. Notes. See the end of the chapter for notes. Chapter text. Draxum and Yuichi parted ways in an alley where both a sewer entrance and an entrance to the hidden city were. They discussed on the way that Draxum would go ahead to the turtle's lair and inform them what the plan was, while Yuichi went back to his own apartment in the hidden city to retrieve the cauldron they needed for the spell. As Yuichi was walking toward his home, he received a text from an unknown number. "When you get the final ingredient, call me," the text read. Yuichi texted back Donnie. "Is this you? How'd you get my number?" "I have my ways," Donnie replied. "Also, don't call me Donnie. My undercover name is Othello von Ryan. I am not calling you that," Yuichi said. "But okay, I'll call you when I get the cauldron." "Good. Insert evil laugh here," Donnie responded. "Yes, he actually wrote that." Yuichi rolled his eyes and stuffed his phone in his pocket. He was almost home. Leo was probably there. What would Yuichi tell him? That they were bringing him back? What would he say? Would he be happy? Is this really something he would want? Yuichi didn't want to think about that. He walked up the stairs to his apartment. Taking out his keys, he unlocked the door. "Hey Leo, I'm back." "Yuichi," his aunt said. Why was she home so early? Yuichi's blood went cold. Hi Auntie," he said, closing the door behind him. "What are you doing? Getting home so early? Where have you been?" Auntie asked, completely ignoring Yuichi's question. He couldn't tell her the truth. "At work." Auntie raised an eyebrow. "No you weren't, I was just there. I asked Weiso where you were and he said you'd taken the week off for, quote, family matters." Yuichi suddenly decided that the floor by his feet was very interesting. "What have you been doing all week?" She didn't sound angry, just worried. Yuichi bit his lip, still not looking his aunt in the eyes. "I can't tell you." Auntie took a step forward, her mechanical leg creaking to support her. "Why not?" Yuichi looked at her again, and then looked past her. Leo was standing there. He wanted to know too. He deserved to know, for he was the reason Yuichi hadn't been working. But Auntie couldn't know. She didn't know about Yuichi's medium abilities. Why though? Why hadn't Yuichi told her? He was afraid. He's always been afraid. Yuichi laid his hands on his aunt's shoulders. "I can't tell you yet," he said. "There's something very important I need to take care of first, but I will tell you. I promise." He made eye contact with Leo for just a moment. "I just need you to trust me," his aunt sighed. "I do, nephew. I just want you to be safe." Yuichi smiled. "Never." That made his aunt laugh, and then she smirked. "Now who's Leo?" Yuichi's smile dropped and he felt all the blood rush to his face. "And no one?" "Yuichi, did you get a boyfriend without telling your dear old auntie?" She placed a hand over her heart in mock offense. "No, auntie." "Oh my God." He covered his face with his hands. "I'm going to get something from my room now. Please leave me alone. Bring him by some time. I want to meet him," Yuichi's aunt yelled after him. "Goodbye, auntie," Yuichi yelled back, slamming his door. He took a moment to slide down the door, his face still on fire, wallowing in his embarrassment. Then, Leo made it worse. "So your boyfriend, huh?" His head was sticking out through the door, looking down at Yuichi. The rabbit groaned. "I'm sorry, this is so embarrassing." Leo giggled before phasing through the door and sitting down next to him. "What are you laughing about?" Yuichi asked. Leo shrugged. "Just thinking." "Oh no, that's never a good thing." "Shut up." Leo tried to push Yuichi away, but his hands just ended up going through the rabbit's shoulder. Because Leo was a ghost. He sighed. "You remember what Casey said the first time you met him?" Oh. Did he remember? According to Casey Jones, Yuichi and Leo had been married in the future. A future that no longer existed. Yuichi just nodded, trying not to look Leo in the eye. "Do you think?" Leo shook his head. "Never mind, it's dumb." No, go on," Yuichi insisted. Leo laughed nervously. "Okay, but it's really stupid. I love stupid." It may have been his imagination, but Yuichi could have swore that Leo's constant faint glow got the slightest bit brighter when he said that. "Do you think that, if I hadn't died," Leo said softly, "and we'd met under different circumstances, do you think that maybe we'd be together?" Yuichi stood up. "What are you?" "Leo, listen," Yuichi interrupted. "I have a stupid plan that I've been coming up with for the last week, and I don't even know if it'll work. But I have everything I need." And he paused, realizing his rambling. "And I just need you to trust me." Leo stood up, confused. "What kind of plan are you talking about?" "It's hard to explain, but it's very important and I need your help." Yuichi wanted so badly to grab Leo's hands right then, but he couldn't, so he just settled with clasping his own hands in front of him. Almost pleadingly. "Do you trust me?" "Of course," Leo replied immediately. Yuichi nodded and pulled out his phone. He tapped on Donnie's contact and hit the call button. Donnie answered immediately, not even letting a ring in. Do you have the goods? You sound like a drug dealer, Donnie, Yuichi responded. But yes, I do. Wait, Donnie, Leo asked. Hold on, why is Donnie in your plan? Suddenly, a swirling blue circle of light appeared in front of them, scaring the living daylights out of Yuichi. What is that? He said with a very manly voice. Definitely not squeaky. Leo knew what it was. A portal, he said. His portal. Yuichi, what is going on? That's when Donnie walked through the portal. His goggles were covering his eyes, but his marker eyebrows were furrowed in frustration. Concern. Yuichi could never tell with the turtle. Seeing Donnie made Yuichi even more nervous. This was actually happening. They would carry the cauldron through the portal and bring Leo back to life. It seemed too easy. He shook the thought away. No use in thinking about the negatives. They're already too far along for that. It's time for business. Did Draxum? He trailed off. Yes, Donnie said. Everyone knows the plan. Raph was apprehensive at first, but Drax assured him it would work. Is he? Yuichi nodded. Leo's here. I'll need help with the cauldron, though. A robot arm shot out of the pack on Donnie's shell, picking up the cauldron with ease. Got it. Let's go. Leo noticed something in one of his twin's hands. A blade of steel with a blue hilt. His swords. Well, one of them, anyway. Leo had thought he'd lost them when he threw them before the portal to the prison dimension closed. How had his brothers found them? Leo noticed that Yuichi and Donnie were walking through the portal. He followed after. Through the portal was the television room of the new lair. Except all of the furniture was cleared out, and covering the floor were ellipses drawn in chalk. Opposite the portal stood Baron Draxum, along with the rest of Leo's brothers, and his father, as well as CJ. Draxum stepped toward the group coming through the portal. Good, you're here, he said in a serious voice. But Leo could see the nervousness in the Baron's goat-like eyes. Place the cauldron in the center of this circle. He pointed to the one in the spot where Splender's chair would normally be placed. Donnie obeyed the order, and then went to stand with his other brothers. Draxum nodded at Yuichi. You know what to do, he said. Leo looked around. Wait, guys, what's going on, he asked. Yuichi faced him. Yuichi, what is this? Leo asked again. Leo, this will all make sense soon. I promise, Yuichi assured him. I just need you to stand in the middle of the largest circle, and don't move, okay? Just trust me. Leo nodded. I do. He stood where he was instructed as Yuichi walked back to join Leo's family. Is he there? Draxum asked. Yes, Yuichi said. You're sure this is going to work? Splendor asked. No, Draxum and Yuichi said in unison. Yuichi could feel the Hamato brothers glaring at him. They'd all put their faith in a rabbit they'd met 2 weeks ago. If this didn't work, well, Yuichi had seen how well they could use those weapons. Michelangelo, I'll need your help, Draxum said, reaching his hand out to the youngest turtle. When Mikey took Draxum's hand, the markings on his body started to glow. Draxum started muttering some sort of chant. As he did, smoke appeared in the cauldron, and the ellipses on the floor began to glow one by one. Oh, Leo recognized this layout now. It was slightly different. The cauldron was certainly new, but it was undoubtedly similar to the ritual they'd used to bring Gram back from the Twilight Realm. However, the symbols on the ellipses were different, and there were more. What were they? Wait. Were they trying to mask? Draxum commanded. Donnie gingerly untied the blue cloth from his wrist and placed it in the yokei's hand. Draxum tossed the mask in the cauldron, where it immediately dissolved into a cloud of sparkles. No, Donnie cried. No, it's gone, Donnie, calm down, Raph said. No, that's the only thing I have left of him, Raph, Donnie snapped. If this doesn't work, I won't have anything. Donatello, Splinter said sternly. It will work. He looked out at the room. It has to, Donnie grumbled and wiped his eyes, but he said nothing more. With the addition of the mask to the cauldron, the ellipses glowed a little bit brighter. Yuichi looked at Draxum and Mikey. The spell was taking a toll on them. Their skin was turning pale, and Yuichi noticed beads of sweat running down their faces. Poor Mikey looked like he was about to pass out. Yuichi looked at Leo in the center of the room. He seemed to be understanding what was happening. He made eye contact with Yuichi, and Yuichi realized that he could actually see Leo clearly. To the others, he may have still been invisible, but to Yuichi, he was as clear as day, and he was gorgeous. Yuichi didn't know what came over him in that next moment. Leo, he called. When this is over, I want you to take me on a date. Leo's eyes widened, and then his face broke out into a wide grin. Gods, his smile was beautiful. Yuichi decided right then and there that if he himself were to die at that moment, he wouldn't care. He was already in heaven, seeing that smile. Keystone, Draxum grunted through his teeth. Yuichi took the purple stone out of his pocket and handed it to the Baron. Draxum tossed the stone into the cauldron. Just like the mask had before, it dissolved into a cloud of glitter. Sorry, Auntie, Yuichi thought. But the ellipses didn't get brighter, like they had when the mask was thrown in. No, when the keystone was thrown into the swirling smoke in the cauldron, the ellipses suddenly went dark. For a terrifying moment, the air in the room felt heavy. Nothing was happening. Why was nothing happening? They'd done the spell correctly, hadn't they? It didn't work, Donnie whispered. But there was still smoke in the cauldron, and Draxum and Mikey still seemed to be in a struggle. It didn't work, Donnie repeated, louder this time. He turned toward Yuichi. You said it would work. You promised. You lied. The smoke in the cauldron was still swirling. No, Yuichi said. Wait. Right on cue, the ellipses burst into a bright white light, as if turned on by a light switch. Mikey and Draxum collapsed on the floor, exhausted. And in the center of the room, a figure began to materialize. A glittering line the border of solid flesh and air, slowly forming into Leonardo Hamato. It started from his feet, then his legs began to appear, then a shell and arms, and at last, a very handsome face. Everyone just stood there for a while, staring, as it slowly started to hit that Leo was alive. He was alive, and he was right there, and he was tangible. Mikey was the first to move. He'd just performed an extremely taxing spell, and Yuichi could have sworn he saw glowing orange cracks on the box turtle's fingers. And yet he pulled himself off the ground and ran to his newly revived brother. Elio! Mikey cried as he crushed his alive brother in a hug. Leo's eyes were wide with shock. He was being hugged by his brother. He could feel that he was being hugged by his brother. A tear rolled down his cheek, and he hugged Mikey back. Then, the rest of the Hamato brothers, along with Casey, ran to tackle Leo in a hug. Yuichi stayed back to give them space, and Splinter stayed back to help Draxum get to his feet. Hurry up, you stupid sheep. I want to see my son, Splinter complained as he draped Draxum's arm over his shoulder and hoisted him up. You could have already, Draxum grumbled. I didn't ask you to help me, Splinter muttered a curse in Japanese and dragged Draxum toward Leo. Yuichi decided that he would ask Leo about them later. As the Hamato clan had a tearful reunion, Yuichi felt a little awkward just standing there. He started to turn around to give them some privacy, but something grabbed him by his shirt and dragged him into the hug. Only later would Yuichi realize that that something had been Donnie's robot arm. The group spent the rest of the evening just talking and crying and generally enjoying each other's company. Leo didn't think he'd spent any of that night without someone else touching him, which, for not being able to touch anything for months, was a welcome comfort. And there was Yuichi. Leo was immeasurably grateful for the rapid yokai. He'd been the one rock in Leo's endless sea of nothingness for the past few months. Yuichi was his only connection to the realm of the living, and he made it so he didn't need that connection, because he was part of it again. Yuichi had gone out of his way to bring Leo back, probably putting himself in some serious danger. Leo owed him the universe. He looked over at the rabid yokai, who was talking to Splinter. Leo felt himself getting teary-eyed again. Yuichi was a beautiful person with a beautiful soul. Leo was sure that he would never be able to repay Yuichi for what he'd done for Leo and his family. Leo was still looking at the rabbit when they made eye contact, and Yuichi smiled at him. Take me on a date, Yuichi had said. Leo chuckled to himself. Okay then. Leo heard footsteps on the concrete, and his surrogate sister, April O'Neil, walked into the room with a box of pizza. Hey guys, I brought pizza. She looked up from the box she was carrying. Elio. Oops, they'd forgotten to tell April. Notes. And that's the fic. I'm so glad to see how much all of you have enjoyed this silly little story I came up with, and I hope you're okay with how I ended it. By the way, did you notice the chapter title? I thought it was quite funny. Like that Usagi isn't exactly fully canon at the end of this, but the way the romance was going, it didn't feel right to end it with them fully a couple. If I had made them a couple, it would have felt rushed emo, and I didn't want to make it rushed. So I left like an open ending of sorts, and I effectively made room for a sequel. Wink wink. If you didn't like how I ended it, I suggest you just leave, because I'm done with this fic, and I'm very proud to say that this is the first fic I have fully finished writing. Thank you again for reading this little story, and I really hope you'll check out my socials to see more of my content and art. Insta, @Edenemy Art. Tumblr, @Edenemy Art.